Good.
Go ahead.
So good evening and Chanukah Sameach. Thank you for inviting me again. And as being the fifth night of Hanukkah, I want to tell you the story of the fifth night of Hanukkah. There is a very famous story in Chabad that speaks about this very special night. So there was a person called Avraham Tzvi Greenwald who was born in 1911 in Poland. It was orphaned at a very young age from his father and was sent to a then famous rabbi called Menachem Zemba of Warsaw in Poland to live with him. And when he turned 17, there was what was called at that time the great wedding of the soon-to-be Lubavitcher Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson and Chaya Mushka Schneerson in Warsaw going on. And so they went to the wedding, and after the wedding, Reb Menachem Zemba was very impressed by the young Chosson, and he asked for a meeting with him, and he took his nephew with him. So they went to this meeting, and they were discussing different topics. And at the end of the meeting, the Rebbe turned to Avraham Tzvi Greenwald and asked him, "Do you know why is the night, the fifth night of Hanukkah, really special for the Hasidim? Why are they so joyous on this night?" And he said, I don't know, they didn't know. So the Rebbe continued, "It happens that the fifth night of Hanukkah can never occur on Shabbos. This represents great darkness, such that even the great holiness of Shabbat cannot penetrate. The fifth candle symbolizes that the light of Hanukkah can illuminate even such intense darkness. This is the duty of every Jew, wherever he might find himself, be it in Warsaw, Moscow, or in London, to illuminate even the greatest darkness." And so the meeting was over, and fast forward a few years, Rabbi Avraham Tzvi Greenwald was married with 5 children who were unfortunately murdered during the Holocaust, both his wife and his children. And after unsuccessfully looking for surviving relatives, he ended up in America. He moved in with his uncle, who has been living there for a while. And then with the help of the uncle and the Amshin of a Rebbe, he rose from the ashes and got married, was going to get married again. And the fiancé was also a Holocaust survivor, also living at an uncle. And this uncle really wanted them to go to visit the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who was the previous Rebbe, Rav Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson. They went there, they visited, they asked for a bracha, they got a bracha, and then upon leaving, Rabbi Greenwald mentioned that, by the way, he was present at the Rebbe's daughter's wedding. And he said, the Rebbe said, if so, please go and visit my son-in-law, who is sitting in his office at the ground floor. Just please visit him. So they went. And Rav Menachem Mendel Schneerson, it was 20 years later, right? So he said to them, first of all, he inquired about Rabbi Zemba, who was also murdered during the Holocaust. And then suddenly he turned to them and said, "Since my father-in-law, the Rebbe, told you to come and visit me, I must tell you a Torah concept. We are now in the month of Kislev, close to Hanukkah. It happens that the fifth day of Hanukkah can never occur on Shabbos. This represents a great darkness. The fifth candle thus symbolizes the great light of Hanukkah, which can illuminate even such an intense darkness. That is why the joy on this night is so immense. It is the duty of every Jew, wherever he may find himself, be it in New York, Philadelphia, or London, to illuminate even the greatest darkness." Now, Rabbi Greenwald was speechless because it was 20 years later and still the same words. And again, the years went by, another 20 years passed, and the oldest son of Rabbi Greenwald was going to get married. And before the wedding, they went to the Rebbe to ask for a bracha. And so they went there. They lived in Toronto, so they had quite a while to travel there, but they traveled to New York. They had a time when they were going to go into the Rebbe's office just for a short bracha. And so they went in, and even before saying anything, the Rebbe said, I haven't seen you for 20 years, but so it's high time you came. Go on. And so he recognized him right away, and he gave a blessing. And then before leaving the room, Rabbi Greenwald turned and he said, although we were letting just for a bracha, but may I ask a question from the Rebbe? And he said, since my father-in-law sent you to me, I'm obligated to answer each and every one of your questions. So Rabbi Greenwald asked, why is it that Chabad Hasidim are so involved with all these non-religious Jews? They're not Shomer Shabbos, they're not Shomer Kashrus, and still they're caring. They care about them. They want to encourage them, and so on. And so the Rebbe answered, if God forbid the daughter of a very religious Jew, a very religious neighbor of yours, would stray from Judaism, what would he do? Would he let her go, or rather would he do everything to try and bring her back to Torah and Mitzvah? Obviously, he would say, my daughter is different, and would do everything to bring her back. So this is how God looks at each and every Jew, that each and every Jew is his only child. And also for my father-in-law, like referring to the previous Rebbe, also thinks that each and every Jew is like an only child and has to be treated that way. And then the strangest thing happened, because right before they left, the Rebbe suddenly said, we will conclude with a blessing. It is known that all Hasidim celebrate the fifth night of Hanukkah. The reason is because the fifth day of Hanukkah can never occur on Shabbos. This represents a great darkness. The fifth candle thus symbolizes the great light of Hanukkah, which can illuminate even such an intense darkness. This is the duty of every Jew, wherever he may find himself, be it in New York or Toronto or London. Every Jew is a part of God above, his only child. When you illuminate his soul, then even the farthest Jew in the darkest place can be awakened. Now, Rabbi Greenwald was really taken aback, and he just left the room without even realizing that he was leaving the room. And again, 10 years passed, and his youngest son was going to get married in London. So before leaving for London, suddenly a Satmar Hasid came into his house and in tears, and was begging him to find his daughter, who just 2 weeks before left the house and left Judaism with a non-Jew, and they thought that she was to be found in London. So they went to the wedding. The wedding happened. It was really joyous and really nice. And after the wedding, Rabbi Greenwald said to his new mechutan, Rabbi, that he has this task to ask to find this girl. So together they visited a rabbi called Avraham Yitzchak Gluck, who already participated in all kinds of missions like that. He was also a Chabad Shaliach, and told them what happened. And a few days later, they got a phone call that they should come over to his house because there is a small surprise waiting for them there. And sure enough, they arrived, and there was this girl sobbing and crying and begging them to bring her back to her father. And then suddenly, Rabbi Avraham Greenwald looked around and realized it was the fifth night of Hanukkah. And then he remembered the rabbi's words from 50 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, that the fifth candle symbolizes the strength of the menorah light. The role of every Jew is to light up the darkest place in Warsaw or in London, in New York or in London, in Toronto or in London. If his daughter were to stray from Judaism, for God, every Jew is an only child. For my father-in-law, every Jew is a relative who cannot be ignored. So suddenly he realized that all these years, the rabbi was referring to this very moment that he would find this girl. And so the rabbi's foresight had this girl get back to Judaism.
Very nice. Thank you very, very much. Okay, same time, same place tomorrow night. Thank you.
Okay, Chag Sameach.